Welcome to Your Story, Our History, a podcast from Londonderry YMCA. I'm Catherine, the project coordinator.
And I'm Hannah, the project archivist. For the past year, we've been on a mission funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund to capture the voices that have shaped this organisation.
We have just celebrated 40 years at our Drumahoe site and are approaching a massive milestone, our 170th anniversary. But history isn't just about dates and buildings, it's about people.
We've invited former and current members, volunteers and staff to sit down with us and share the stories that don't always make it into the history books. These memories make our living archive.
Today we are revisiting the Drama Group in a conversation with the man who led it all. From 1996 to 2001, John Magowan saw firsthand how a simple taster session blossomed into one of the most popular activities at the centre. John shares his memories of the creative fun they had with 3 props in a box and his personal rule of leaving your worries in an imaginary bag at the door. It's a powerful conversation about how his role as a tutor wasn't just about acting, it was about providing a life-changing space where people could find their confidence and a second family.
So, what is your name?
John Magowan.
Perfect. So tell me a wee bit about yourself now, some of your hobbies, your age and your former occupation.
Oh dear, where do you start? Since I left school, I've never been out of work and I never sort of stuck at too many jobs for any length of time. Just got bored, I suppose. And I was an apprentice joiner for 3 years and I was a lorry driver, a bus driver. I was a sparks mate. I didn't do any work. I was just his mate, or mucker as they call them here. And that was a joke, by the way. And then I was, there was a pile of jobs, but probably, I was a gardener as well for 14 years, worked for Aberfoyle Nurseries in the nursery garden. And they call them nursery men. And then I took up social work. I worked with youngsters in care for 13, 14 years as a social care worker. I didn't do my social work degree or anything. But I was that's what they call social care worker. You do the same job, but you don't get as much money for it, and you haven't the responsibility of doing all the reports and everything. So I was quite happy enough with that. But that was a very interesting job. And then I worked for a long time as conservation volunteers manager for the Northwest. I was there. I can't remember how long I was there for. You'll have to forgive me, but the older you get, because I'm 76, and the older you get, the memory fades slightly. Well, it fades a lot, actually. So I think that's about it, really. My hobbies would be DIY in a big way. I do a lot of, I'm doing a talk tomorrow, actually, on the fountain man shade and building from pallets. So it's how do you strip the pallets down and the tools you use and what you can make out of old pallets and stuff like that. So I did a lot of that. And dry stone walling. I used to do a lot of dry stone walling. That was hard graft though, but I didn't mind hard graft. And hobbies other than that that's about it really, DIY and gardening and helping folk and doing bits of gardening, pruning and, I think they asked you, how do you prune roses? And I go along and show them and then I end up doing the whole lot, sort of thing. But nature of the business, I suppose. But that's about it really, and relax myself now more than I did before. But anyway, that's basically where I am with that.
So tell me how you got involved with the drama group in the YMCA.
Right. 1996, I think. Well, I did my community or drama for the community in McGee, got my certificate, and was doing a lot of drama stuff about the town. Nothing serious, like I didn't do Macbeth or anything like that. You know, I would be more for the jokey, easy sort of stuff. And then I got a letter. No, I didn't. I got a phone call from the secretary at that time, was Mark Patterson. And he said, you wouldn't fancy doing a wee sort of tester out here to see at the YM to see if there's any interest in it. So I thought, well, okay, I'll give it a go. And that was in '96. I think I started off with about 6 or 7 young people. And then I took it on then as volunteer. And I did it every Wednesday night from 7 to 9. And then we did a lot of performances and stuff. But the group grew and grew. And then it was a one in, one out. I had a waiting list then at the end up because I just couldn't cope with the numbers. It took off so well. And as I was saying, I came out here a couple of times, and one of the saddest things I seen was the stage is no longer there. So there's no comeback. You can't make a comeback on the drama because the stage is not there. Although nowadays you get these ornamental, what do they call it, them stages that you erect and you take down again. But it was sad because many a lovely moment was on them created in them stages with performances, and sometimes we did up to 3 performances a year, you know, and they were mostly, every year we had a pantomime, and then a couple then we would do wee sort of musicals and sketches, comedy sketches, and stand-up comedy and things like that there. But basically, I always had an interest in drama, even from school. But I suppose it was later on in years that I really took more of an interest in it, that went to McGee then to do it, and as a real thing, you know.
And so was the group cross-community?
It was. We had some we had some young people from Corrynearn, Tullyally, Drumahoe. We had even some from the waterside, on in the waterside. And basically, they were teenagers, so whether they were involved in firing stones at each other, I don't know. But I just say, look, leave all your problems in a wee bag outside the door. And when you leave, you can pick up your wee bag and do what you want with it, but there'd be nothing in here. We didn't have football tops or scarves or anything like that, but it was never enforced. It just happened that way, that everybody just had a great relationship with each other, and nobody got a bigger part than anybody else did, you know. I had this idea that we should start from at the same level for everybody, because some people would have been a lot more into it than others, and some were quite shy. So some of them started off with man with spear, with no lines, and then a newer member came in, so he got the spear, and the other person had maybe a walk-on line, and then another line, and then 3 or 4 lines, and then the next minute they were hooked, and away they went. It's just a matter of bringing out whatever's in there, what everybody has. Remember a wee fella, he always stuck like that, and he always came on like this, you see. And I said, you've got to hold your head up and speak from here, you know, and get it out. And the guys at the back of the hall won't hear you if you're talking like that. And I said, as a matter of fact, I have got a mate of mine who's a neck specialist. I'm sure there's a medical term for it. A neck specialist up at Altmagalvin. And I'll bring in a thing next week and hold your neck up. Oh, he said, right. And he went home and told his mum. So I didn't think this anything of it, but I brought in a bag with an old sponge in it, and I left it down. Of course, he looked at it like this, and then he came like this and never put this. I brought the wee bag out every night, but it was never in it anyway. I wouldn't have done that on him, but shows you how psychology works. So no, it was they were a great bunch, and a lot of them, there was about 3 went away to do English and drama at university whenever they left the group. So to me, I got the blame for that, I'm afraid.
You inspired them.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
So what did a typical drama session look like from the moment you stepped in? What did one of your classes look like?
Whatever it was we were doing on the night, but we would always do a wee warm-up exercise first, and they'd be running around, or they would throw in the beanbag, and whoever got touched had to freeze and stuff. Then if we were doing, say, movement, say one night we would do movement, other stagecraft or stage knowledge or different things, voice projection and all different things. So, but at the end of so one of those would be a lesson after the warm-up. There would be the main lesson of whatever it was that night. It was something different every week. And the nearer we became to performance nights, we would spend them rehearsing. And then at the end of the night, I used to have a wee bag, not with a sponge in it, but or a neck brace or anything. But I had 3 props in it. And people will remember this to this day. They came and said, 3 props in a box. That's what it was called, 3 props in a box. And they were put on the table and nobody touched them. But you had to make, I broke them into groups, and then they had to make a wee sort of 5-minute sketch of what the 3 items were, but they had to use the 3 items in the wee sketch. So it could have been a paintbrush, a plant pot, and but some of the stuff that they came up with was unreal, So they went away for about 5-10 minutes to brainstorm and get their wee sketch prepared, and then they came up and done their wee sketches, whatever they had out of it. But some of them were amazing, really. The imagination that some of them came up with, would never have thought of that. But that's basically it. And then, as I say, whenever it came to near the performance dates, then we would spend that time rehearsing, and then a few weeks before we would have come in on a Saturday afternoon and rehearsed then, and then we had the tech, and then we had the costume and all that.
Sure, it was incredibly stressful trying to get children off script.
Well, that's the point. They didn't really come off script because a whole lot of them were going, what page are we at? What page are we at? And you could hear this backstage. And then I used to shout, not badly, but say, what? Has anybody got their scripts backstage? No. Nobody had. And but the more, not professional, but the more people that were more advanced and spent a lot of time, you knew the people who read their scripts, and you knew the people who just didn't. So it was quite. But then at that particular time, I did whenever it came to backstage, the stage was theirs. So I did sound, lighting, and I had a costume lady and a makeup guy, and that was it really. And if they didn't learn their lines and they came on, they made a right idiot of themselves. But it usually always came together on the night. The night before the opening, of course, it was just a nightmare, and I thought, how are we going to get through this? And they always did. They always came across in every performance.
And did many people come to the performance?
There was a fair wee bit, but I always thought about the people who maybe lived locally. It was usually mums and dads and uncles and grannies and granddads and young people belonging to the families and stuff. But very few locals. But then talking to other people who ran performances over the town and things like that, they said the same, it was just very hard to get people out to come along. Mm-hmm. But whoever was there enjoyed it, and it's all good. Mm.
And were you into drama from you were young, or was it just later on in life?
It was, well, later on in life, more or less, but earlier on in life, I was about 5 or 4.5, 5. I was coming out of school and I ran across the road and got doinked with a car. And I went up in the air and came down and hit the bonnet and landed on the road. And out of that there, whether it was shock or something, I never really knew, I developed a very, very bad stammer. So that was the end of the drama. So but at that age, I had no idea. But the speech impediment lasted for years and years and years into secondary school as well. And I remember at primary school, I had one line to do, and it was something to do with a king. Please arise, here comes the king, or something. And the sweat was blinding me because I thought, I'm going to in the middle of this, and I was scared stiff, so I never done it. I just didn't do it. I didn't say it. And fair play to the people who came after me; they just went on. I just froze. I couldn't open my mouth. So anyway, my mum said that this was a result of the car accident that happened in my head or something, and I haven't been right since. So people tell me, but. Then I went to speech therapy and basically had to learn all over again how to speak or how to talk or whatever. And I couldn't string 2 words together. And at school, when you were in English and you were reading out of a book, I used to slide along behind a bloke so I wouldn't be noticed. And because you read this bit, and somebody would stand up and go, and John, where are you? And you do this bit, and I went up. But they were doing it to try and get me part of it, but it was no good. I just wasn't able to do it. And then we used to do wee bits of drama at school, secondary school, and I just loved the whole idea of stage, and the lights were on and everything, and there was music and stuff. So I basically just worked through the speech therapy thing, and I mean, to this day, I still have a few wee hiccups down again in certain words, like key. I would struggle with one of them. So I went to the boss one day and I said, "Boss, I will have to go to a funeral today. Is there any chance of getting off?" And he said, "What time is that?" And I said, "2." It was at 2:00, 1:30. So he always tells me about that story and about what I came on that day, and I couldn't get it out, and I just made it up 1:30, so I got away half an hour earlier. But it was through determination as well too. I think that I really, really, really wanted to do it, and I done it.
Amazing.
So I was quite happy with that.
So, what was the most memorable moment you experienced while leading the drama group, and can you describe how it felt?
Oh, there were so many because it was mostly performance. Because hence I have no hair because I kept pulling it out. When I started in 96, I had a full head of hair and a beard. And by the time that was over, I had no hair and no beard because I was working with it, trying to get it so that it's perfect. A wee bit of a perfectionist, was just not going to happen. It wasn't going to be perfect, you know. And to me, the performance nights, once they were up there and backstage, they knew when to come on and when not to come on, and where to go upstage, downstage, stage left, stage right, or whatever. And it was up to them then. It was down that I had done all the work leading up to that, and it was them, because I was out the front then with the lighting board and the sound board. So if it worked for them, it worked. But they weren't really professional shows, you know, to anyways. But a lot of them were quite good whenever they got on, and to me that's what it was all about, because the young people probably didn't even know they had that in them. And talking to some of the parents afterwards said, "How do you do that? Because when he's in the house, he never speaks, and there he is as on stage, and I'm prancing about like he owns the place, you know." But that, I suppose that there would be just more the performance. I would be so proud of the young people.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you have is there any performance that particularly sticks out to you as, oh, this was the pinnacle here?
No, because every one of them was the same hard work.
Yeah.
And the same hard work for them. But no, I think there wasn't one that we did. They started up the Waterside One Act Drama Festival. It only lasted a year. I don't know what happened to it, whether they didn't get funding or whatever the next year. But our group was in that there, and they got a merit and all that for it. So that to me was Mr. Proudhead, you know. So that stands out with mostly, you know, with that there. They also did. They were involved in other performances with other groups. So somebody would be looking for 3 young people to do whatever, and I'd say, "Oh, I've got the right people for you." So away they went.
Amazing.
Mm.
And then I suppose, what were some of the challenges the drama group faced, or you faced?
Young people. That was the challenge. When we were at the YM, I don't think it was more sport than it was YM. And we then got to the stage, because we were waiting on the badminton people or the bowls people to come out so we could go in. And then we got a room, and then we were put out of that. Not put out, but they needed the room for something else. And then we ended up rehearsing in the hall, in the entrance hall. So we thought, hey, this is not good. And so it wasn't really working towards the end, and that was 96 or 2000. And then the Waterside Theatre opened in 2000, and they contacted me and said, "Would you like to do the youth drama work in there?" Yeah. So I said to the group, "Look, I think it's over now here, because we've nowhere left to go. If it was a good night, we'd be outside," sort of thing, at the car park. But I think sports took over everything else. You know, there was the badminton, the rugby, and the football, and all the different things that was going on. So we sort of bowed out then, and I didn't know who was going to come along with me, but most of them did. Like all of them did, really. But it wasn't taking them away from the YMCA. The young people, I mean, they were still part of the whatever was going on here, the youth clubs and things like that. And then it just became so professional, and there they had their own lighting system and their technicians and all that. Like, woo, you know, and there was me in my element, you know, and a big stage and smoke machines and all the rest of these things. I thought, oh, I'm in heaven. But other than that, that was kind of sad, because it started here and it grew here, and it would have been nice to stay here, you know. But circumstances were what they were, and you know, there was no. we just
Had to move on, I suppose.
had to move on, and that's the way life is, just, What,
And then thinking back on your time leading the drama group, what was the most, you can answer these individually, but valuable skill, lesson or friendship you gained from the experience? And how did being part of the drama group make you feel? Or leading it, I suppose.
what was the first one again? As I say, excuse the bad memory.
Right, valuable skill.
It's valuable. Well, I've worked with young people for a long, long time prior to coming here as well, and different things, and then used to work with schools doing conservation work. So it really came quite easy with me working with young people here, and you soon realised that they wanted to do it. They didn't sort of say, "Oh, I have to go to the YMCA tonight and do drama." A lot of the people were under certain stress, I suppose, at home, and they told me this, but I'm not going to that, or schoolwork, and they took on a Wednesday night as their release, and it was their time, me time, and that there to me was very valuable in my coming from when I was leading the group. And I thought, well, that's because young people would have came to me and spoke to me and said, look, I'm having a hard time. I might have to give this up, and things are not working out in the house and whatever was going on. And I said, well, use this as your
Safe space, nearly?
as your safe space and your time to, even if you want to explode, give you an exploding role if you want. But things like that there meant a lot to me. What was the other bit again?
Okay, lesson.
A lesson. Never expect too much from young people. Really, whenever you work with adult groups and they go away and they learn the scripts and they come back and they're all right. And young people are still reading the scripts when they're going on stage that night, and writing things on their hands and things, and leaving bits of paper on the desk or something like that. That's on stage, and you can see them going, and there. But they got away with it. But the lessons were not to expect a wild lot from the young people,
And then friendship.
Friendship.
Yeah.
Well, for years after, Gemma Walker, I'll just mention her name as an example. Yeah. Gemma and I are still in contact, and she went off. She was one of the girls that went off to university to do English and drama, and she came back. But I was sort of retiring at that time because, I was just getting tired all the time. And the groups were very big, and that the lessons were very strenuous. Gemma came back from university and said, I need a group for my portfolio. I said, there you are. Yeah. You can have this group. So she started off as a toot and grew up and went to university and came back, and then she ran the group after that. So that friendship, Louise, again too, we would meet on odd time for coffee and things like that. Yeah. So a lot of my own son, he was in it, and my daughter was in it as well. I still speak to them. So we still have friendship there. But no, you'll still meet some of the group from time to time, and they'll always tell you about their time with the group. So the friendship thing was always there.
About the hat nights?
Every year we had a hat party. And the hat party was everybody had to come in a hat. Didn't matter what hat. And during the party, they had, at this time, most of them were 17, 18. And we put on Rick Ashley. And whenever Rick Ashley sang, you could change your hats. So everybody changed hats. And it was just a daft idea. But it became the hat party. And we had that every year, and they kept coming back every year. But then, as I say, I think circumstances changed, and the hat party is no more. But I've heard more recently that some of the young people, well, they're not young now, would have hat parties. So there you go.
And then thinking about the YMCA as a whole, what do you believe was the most positive effect the drama group had on the organisation during the time?
It's just basically the whole thing. Mark at that time was very, what do they call it, very positive about the drama stuff. And I think he helped a lot. He didn't help out physically, but in his sort of ideas and what was, how things should be carried forward. And I don't know if they still have, but we used to have meetings at the time, but each representative from each of the user groups would come along, and give a wee report of how the drama was going on. Other than that there, it was a very stable venue, and at the time, it was okay then.
And then, and then I suppose, is there anything I should have asked you? Is there anything you want to add?
No, not really, no. And as I say, it's just a pity nobody took. And then came along COVID, of course. COVID played a big role, and I lost the complete group in the Waterside Theatre whenever COVID came, because everybody just drifted away. We couldn't do any rehearsals, workshops, nothing like that. And you know yourself, once that happens, it's very, very difficult to get them back because they're in relationships, or they're away, or they go and live somewhere else or whatever. So I think, what was the question again?
Is there anything I should have asked you?
Oh, no. No, that's it really. I sort of had hoped, to be honest, that I didn't even know until I came out here one day that the stage had gone, and you'd always hope that the stage would still be there. And underneath the stage, that's where we stored the costumes and put on the lights and everything like that, all went under the stage. That somebody else would come along and take it over, because the young people loved it. They really loved it. And it's very expressive, and improvisation as well too. And it's the whole mind thing, and what comes out of them was just amazing. I mean, they play rugby and football. The aim of the rugby is to get a ball somewhere, and the aim of football is to get the ball on the back of the net. But it's not using any of their imagination or stuff like that. So, and young people came along, and they, after 6 months, 8 months or something like that, I mean, they so changed and what they could come up with then, And nobody pushed them. They weren't pushed. We all went at our own speed, and my speed was very slow. I'm afraid. So
I just think great for their confidence and just making them happy and having something to look forward to. That wasn't just skill.
Yeah. But drama's a very strange thing, because, as I say, man with spear, and you could have one line, you could have as many lines as you wanted, because you just made them up. I could have made them up and put them down, and you can say this, that, and the other thing. Some people were happy with spear. Some people were happy with one line. Some people wanted more. They wanted to do everything. It stimulates. I think it stimulates the mind, and it's very useful, because a lot of confidence comes out of that. With the young people, and some of the wee guy was come up, and the other guys, who would come on and swing their legs and stuff like that, and whenever they're talking, they would be swinging their foot, or mannerisms, and they would be doing this here and scratching their nose and stuff. But it was just mannerisms they do, because they were nervous.
Yeah.
And when you go, you're out of your comfort zone, whenever you come out in front of an audience, no matter who you are, really, until you get into it. And then once you get into it and the thing's rolling, the music's going and everything, it's just relaxing. And I'll always remember something the people said whenever it was over, what are we doing now? What can we do another one now? Can we do another one? You know, because there's an adrenaline builds up, and then when it's all done, you get a wee bit depressed because there's nothing there anymore. But that's what performances were, you know, and to me that's what it was all about, you know. And they did. There was quite a few of them had very, very little confidence. They weren't overly confident but fair play to them. They came on the stage and they done whatever they were supposed to do and said whatever they were supposed to say. Well, most of the time, and most of the time they made it up, but it meant the same. But it was good for their confidence, I think. And as I say, it was just so sad that the stage is gone and nobody else would go, because you don't know who out there is missing out on stuff like that. Because I found in schools too that, working with schools with so many things, that it was always the people who, they give you all the confident people. They never give you the people that were down the list, you know. And I remember doing a performance in the Waterside Theatre, and a woman rang up looking for tickets. They'd all gone for the show that night, and her son had never been picked at school for anything. All he got was a tree standing in the background, and I gave him a speaking role, and I thought I'd give him £1 million. But his mother says, "Look, they can't. It's sold out. But whenever John comes in, I'll get him to give you a ring." So I came in and I gave her. She was actually crying that she couldn't see her youngster on the stage for the first time ever. I brought her in an extra chair and I put it at the end of the thing, at the end of the row, on the front row. Well, you would have thought I'd give her £1 million. Oh, jeepers, it was see, that's what I mean. Drama and theatre are so diverse. It's really amazing. But for the young boy on the stage and for the mother, this was just the bee's knees. Like he only had 3 lines or something, but still, that's what it's all about.
Thank you so much, John.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Story, Our History.
Our living archive is still growing. If you have a story from the last 40 years at Drumahoe, we want to hear from you.
You can get in touch by messaging us on Facebook or Instagram at Londonderry YMCA Heritage, or emailing heritage.lderry@ymca-ireland.net.
This project is kindly funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund. Be sure to follow our podcast so you don't miss our next story.
Because our history
is your story.